everybody, how you guys doing? I made this card today and I thought maybe some of you would like to see it to give you inspiration on making it in a different color than what we normally do, because we normally do our Christmas cards in the traditional colors or so forth. Well, this year I made them more in the soft pinks and the blues. This time here I used a turquoise with it. It seems to be what is a trend right now, and my paper is coming from the paper pack Sugar Blush, and it's from Recollection. There's also, I believe, there's another pack that's out similar to that one. I forget what the name of it is, but anyway, there's something similar to that also that's out. It's quite popular right now. And you know how I am. I'm a strong believer. You've heard me say this over and over again. I like to use my paper packs. I like to use it all if I can. And I especially like the cutouts on them. It comes in handy. Here I have used a cutout from this particular paper pack, and I made a shaker card out of it. And it's really, really sweet. And I'm going to show you how I put this together. It's a quick card, and maybe it'll inspire you to do something within these colors, or maybe even so, you can do one with whatever tools you have in your craft stash. All right, so what you need to start off to do this card, I used a regular base card, 8.5 by 11, cut in half, 5 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this is my base card, which is the same here, which was in the blue. And what I did after that is I have a die set that I bought from Allie a little while back, and it something like $7 or something for this particular die, but this makes like a box scene type of card. So I really like the front of it, so what I did is I cut out just the front of it like this, and then in order for it to fit on my card, because as you can tell it's bigger than the card itself, I snipped out the ends, and just a little bit of the ends like this where the clips are and so forth. So then I ended up with a front part like that. Okay, so it would fit on the front of my card like this. Then I used a background, and the background that I used on this particular one was a pink, but I forgot to take myself a piece of cardstock off. But in this particular case, I would probably use a red in the back when I get to make it, and add it to the back itself. And then I take another piece. Now this particular cutout from the cardstock comes from Santa's Workshop, and it's another little piece that I have that's left over from that stock, and I know it's going to fit in here no problem, so I need to build this up because I want to do it as a shaker card. Well, this is what I did. I ended up taking a piece of foam like this. I took two of my circles. One is 4-inch, the other one is 3 3/4, 3 1/2, pardon me, and I cut off 2 circles. Now my 2 circles came out like this because of the center circle, but what I want was the outer part to build up to make the shaker card. Now some of you may use some two-way tape. You can't. I just find this a lot easier when I'm working with something that's not square. Another thing I did is I cut another piece in this red, and I'll tell you why. Because when I add these, it's going to show on behind, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to show exactly the same. So if I add this in behind, you can't tell where I'm adding the thickness in order to make the shaker card. Once I've attached these two, I use my Fabri-Tac, attached these two together, and I attached this on top. Then I had myself my base for my shaker. From that, I ended up cutting a piece of acetate with just my larger, which is the 4-inch one. I cut a piece of acetate from that. This acetate will end up being between the 2 foam here, 2 pieces of foam, and my top glitter paper like this. So when I add this on, here I don't have to worry about having some glue on the showing from the acetate, on the acetate, because we all know that it can scuff up if you do that. So now I have a base, and it's going to be built up like this, and you end up with a front like that. Now on my base card, I end up measuring my Santa, and I end up cutting the tips because you don't want them to show. And I end up having a second bottom piece like you see here. I attach it all together. Once it's attached on that base part, I then attach it to the top of my card. Once it's attached, you may say, well, this is going to be up versus this piece here, because at this point it looks good just like that, even if you didn't put any shakers. But before you attach it, you obviously put your shaker pieces inside. What I did for that is I just cut off with my regular punch. Probably most of you guys have this, a punch at home like this. I just cut off 4 pieces of foam from the leftover foam that I have. I took a small dot, micro dots that you use, and the glue dots, and I just put a glue dot on here, and I added the other one on top, and that made the exact height that I needed in order for my top piece to lay straight on top, like this one here. See how I have the pink foam here? I added it on a pink background, and this piece here is the 2 pieces of foam that you can tell that makes it flat on top. Then all I did was take my 1.5 inch punch, and onto, for this one here, all I did was going to the stash that I had, some bits and pieces of the cardstock I had left, because I wanted some kind of greeting on the front, and I found jingle bells. So it's from the same paper pack here, so I cut out just a jingle bell in the 1 inch, and I had a piece of cardstock left over from cutting out the base of the other one, and I just cut out a 1.5 inch, and I added it underneath, and I just glued it together because I didn't need no more height, because you want it to be able to go through the mail. So it made a beautiful card. I rounded off the top just to match going around with the globe. I could have cut it all the way around. It would have still made a nice card, but I kind of left it as is, and I kind of like it that way. In the inside, I just added a round piece of shimmer paper with another piece of that paper collection inside, and another little piece that I cut out from that paper collection that says Noel, and I added some glimmer on the bottom to give it just a touch of continuity. So now I've added some into my envelope and on the front, and there you go. I have myself a card that's ready to go. It went fairly quick. You wouldn't think, but it did. And the main trick is to do your shaker card. And the shaker card, you don't even need to have this here if you wanted to. Is just cut yourself out, especially if it's round. If you want to make a shaker that's round, I suggest highly that you use some foam. Just go to the dollar store or Dollar Tree or wherever you're from, and get yourself some kids foam and cut it out. And then you cut out a frame like this, and if you can use the same color, it's even a bonus. And then once it's all glued together, you just, before you cut it to your picture, you add your picture to it, you just add all your little goodies in here to make the shaker card. I glued the picture, turned it around, and I had myself a shaker card. And then from there, I added it on to the top of my card, and it made a really nice little shaker card, as you can tell right here. And it shakes, and people like that, children like that, and so forth. So this is a traditional card. Seems to be the traditional colors that are going this year. And I thought maybe if you saw it, maybe it would inspire you to make something like this. If not, just stay on with the traditional colors as you see there. But most importantly, use up those bits and pieces that you have in your paper pads, because they end up collecting and you end up just having stashes and stashes of it. And it can get overwhelming at times. Anyway, keep yourself creative, enjoy your day, but most importantly, be happy. This is Yvonne, and I'm signing off for now. Bye-bye.